path forward is where my head's at.
Well, you know, you mentioned the bad actors too, and I think people need to understand kind of how this thing works, because a lot of these kids do go into the portal and they have representation. And since NIL is technically marketing, right? You have agencies out there that are charging kids 20%.
Yes.
I don't know what your agent charges on a marketing deal. That's what my agent
That's the standard, yeah.
would charge on a marketing deal. So there are people advising young people to make bad decisions right now because they stand to make 20% of whatever that bad decision is. We have to find a way around that. And I'm with you too. If the idea is that we want to open this thing up to pay for play, I think we should have guidelines for it. I think that we should just go ahead and state that this is something that can happen so people know what's supposed to be going on. And I think for all the coaches out there that complain about what is happening, I think that they are a part of the bad behavior because they complain about it to us, but behind the scenes they're trying to do the same things that everybody else is doing because they understand that it is an edge that people are gaining, and if they don't become a part of it, it becomes a problem for them. I mean, we got basically like a million different stories, and I want to kind of transition into some of what's going on with the quarterbacks here, right? Like Riley Leonard hops in the portal.
Let's talk about it.
Right, he's quarterback at Duke, announces that he's going to be in the portal. Not quite open yet. And there is a box that you can check that says do not contact. And you only do that if you know where you're getting ready to go. And all the reports are saying that he's getting ready to go to Notre Dame. How is the deal done right now?
It's tampering, right? Right? Of course, which is illegal, which hits the principle of what we're just talking about, where it's like, hey, guys, here's the rules. Leadership is not about just saying a rule that sounds good. Leadership is about creating structures and incentives to actually get people to follow those rules. This is tampering. It's been going on. We've heard coaches complain about it. There's a deal in place, and, you know, I'd imagine Notre Dame's one of those schools that can cough up a little bit more money. You know, they're probably in the top tier of schools with potential NIL deals. Sure. So it's flat out tampering. And again, like, so Notre Dame's a good example because Brian Kelly is their coach, and he leaves. But okay, when Brian Kelly was their coach.
Right.
He left when Notre Dame still had, albeit a long shot to go to the playoffs.
Yep.
He left to go to LSU and sent a teamworks message to his team. Again, I don't have a problem with it. You made $100 million.
Sure.
That's all good. But like, those are the guys that are leading these young men, right? So these players are looking up to the coach and saying, well, you do it. Why can't I do it, right? I mean, you know what I mean? This is the system we've created.
Let's bring it even closer to home. Mike Elko, former Duke head coach, now at Texas A&M. What happens with his situation? So Mike Elko comes out and was like, hey, you know, transfer portal is getting ready to open up here in a couple of weeks. You guys need to understand that there's going to be madness with this. I'm not exactly sure we're ready for what's getting ready to happen, but you just watch. And then the quote-unquote transfer portal for head coaches opens up, and he's one of the first dominoes to fall. He goes to Texas A&M, arrives down there on a private jet at about 2 a.m., right, and sends a message to his team and says, hey, I got a Zoom call scheduled for Monday morning. I would love for you all to be on it. These guys are like, why the hell am I going to get on this Zoom call, coach? Because you dipped out of here. That is, you're so spot on with the idea that the leaders are telling the players exactly how they should behave. They are, through their actions, and I'm not saying he should have stayed there, right? But his actions are definitely telling the players how they need to behave. It's a wild thing to me. And just to talk about the portal for a sec here too, and I think that this is one of the things that bothers me about it. It felt like it was created so there would be a level playing field in the turnover of rosters and the acquisition of talent. There was a process that you would formally enter the transfer portal. There would be a recruiting period, a window for people to contact you. If you need to take a visit, you can take a visit. If you need to talk to a coach, you can talk to a coach. And then decisions would be made. But in that time period, multiple people would be able to talk to you and figure out all the things they need to do to have you on campus. And the idea that cats are announcing that they're entering the portal a week before it opens, and then the deals are done, that takes out the whole idea of a level playing field, which is wild to me.
So, but to me, though, I look at it and I say, you know, as we'll talk about some of the conference championships and preview the playoff, the picture later in the show, but like, hey, this has been the most parity we've had in college football.
No doubt.
I think about DJU going to Oregon State, right? Like, you know, kind of lost his job at Clemson and then he transfers out. You know, before the transfer portal, he's parked on the roster. Like, teams could concentrate their wealth. The transfer portal allows a little bit further disbursement of the wealth, but to me, like it is okay. But if we can find out a proper structure to actually level the playing field going forward,
that's my thing. Like I have no problem with guys moving around
or getting paid. I'm cool with them getting paid.
All of these things, but if we are supposed to say that we have processes in place, why don't we follow that?
Okay.
That bothers me. And then the last one I want to get to is Justin Scott, who's a 5-star defensive tackle from Illinois who was committed to Ohio State. He flips to Miami. So he's leaving the current number 6 team in the country, who just lost to the number 2 team, to the Hurricanes, who went 7-5 this year. It's not a great situation down there. And I can give you the insight and the context into this situation because I'm close to this one. He was offered an amount of money by Miami that Ohio State said, we're just not going to match that. If you want to go to a team that's struggling, instead of coming to Ohio State to be developed and to play for a team that is currently a contender, that is on you. That's on you. And he was a guy who had interest from Michigan, from Georgia, and from Alabama early on, commits to Ohio State, and then goes to Miami because they have the desperation NIL money. And this kind of gets me to the collectives thing, and I don't want to go too far into this, but that's a house of cards as well.
Sure.
And I feel like a lot of it is not sustainable, but you do get some people, some boosters, who want to put together that team. And we saw what A&M did trying to do that. And we'll see what happens.
Think about this, you know, so for this, if you know, Ohio State says we're not going to bid up, you know, and it's a difference of a couple $100,000 where it's like, well, why wouldn't you pay it? But just think about the risk, right? There's risk to action and inaction. If you pay a unproven 5-star that much money, but your starter that's producing isn't getting paid, what does that do for your culture and your locker room, right? That's the risk as well. And this is where I'm saying, like, our incentive structure with this, it's totally backwards. I'm okay with guys getting paid, but we have to figure out a better, more practical and reasonable incentive structure. It's a Wild West. Right?
I mean, the flip side of that too is not even the if you pay him but you don't pay him thing. Am I going to let a 17 or an 18-year-old at, you know, the last minute, right as we're getting up to signing day, try to strong arm me by saying, hey, I've got this offer out there. You guys need to pony up a little bit more money. Maybe you're not a fit. Because I want guys like we were willing to give you something, but I ultimately want guys who want to be here, not guys who are chasing the bag. Because who knows if we give you this money and then a year later you say, well, I didn't see as much of the field as I wanted, because of course you're a freshman, you might not play as much as you want to, and then you dip out anyway.
I think you and I in the future and future shows, let's come up with some practical reasons. I think we could. Let's talk about this and try to find a path forward. So.